Hello again, this is Guy Clapperton welcoming you back to the Near Futurist podcast. As I've mentioned before, I've been to many conferences where there's been someone called a futurist who plans to tell us all about what's likely to happen in 50 years' time. I see my job as to talk about what's going to affect us now and is actionable really soon. This time it's going to be a little different. If you're listening to this on your favourite audio platform, that's great and you're very welcome. But for an idea of what we're talking about, you might want to hop over to YouTube and have a look at my guest and me. Not because we're devastatingly good looking, well, not just because we're devastatingly good looking, but because we're going to be talking about video conversations and what people don't realise is going wrong, so I am recording this on video. But first, as always, a quick plug for my media training service. Do you want to sound as confident as my interviewee in this episode? If you talk to the press or other media, are you worried you'll be misquoted, or they'll just publish their story and not yours? Clapperton Media Associates can help with coaching. Drop me a note, guy@clapperton.co.uk, and we'll arrange a time for an exploratory call. Now, back to the podcast. Okay, you can come back now. I've been training people over Zoom and before that Skype for almost a decade and a half. It was the usual thing. Someone asked whether I could do it, and I said yes immediately. But it's been a bit unsatisfying for a while, and my guest today has some ideas as to why that might be, and a possible solution. He's an innovator who defines the term. During his time at British Telecom, he led the creation of the FIRE, F-I-R-E, Flexible Interactive Reporting Environment System, an award-winning platform that revolutionized program management and real-time collaboration across departments. The system became a core pillar of BT's digital operations for 15 years, influencing modern approaches like agile and real-time dashboards. His impact is still being felt, possibly by yourself while you're listening to or watching this, as he played a key role in launching low-cost internet infrastructure, helping expand access and transform the UK's digital ecosystem. Now he's turned his sights on the video conferencing market. His name is Manoj Chawla, and he is Chief Executive of startup Studiobox. Manoj, welcome.
Thank you very much, Guy. Lovely to be with you.
Great. I hope I got most of that introduction right. Now, we all got forced to do video meetings during the pandemic, but that's over, hopefully never to come back. But we're still using Google Teams and Google Meet or whatever. People are happy with this, basically, aren't they?
Well, I think they've come to accept what is there. But I think they miss the interaction of being there. Because, we're all familiar with the term Zoom fatigue. And it's because you're not really interacting. You're looking at a video of the person. And interaction is you look at the eye, and like we're doing right now. And what we're doing is we're scanning the whole body. We're looking at the face triangularly. And if you don't get that and you don't react, it's very much like playing with a doll.
Not that I don't like playing with a dog, that's fine. But I mean, the thing is, people do complain about long video meetings, but they've always complained about long meetings anyway. Is it really that different? What's really changed?
Well, I think the first thing is, look, we forget that the whole idea of video calls started back in the 60s when AT&T started. And I'm sure you remember it was quite expensive. And when telco started to launch it...
Could I just say, I did not remember the mid-60s and AT&T. I was a year old at the time, and so were you. Please continue.
Okay, well, if you go back and you look at some of the YouTube videos to look at the history of AT&T, we've always been sold that the technology will allow us to communicate. But the thing is, the form factor has to change with the technology, right? So the device that you interact, like when BT launched their products, it was like a little television box with a handset. And the preoccupation was trying to get as much of the signal. So the scan rate was low, the video was small, it was jumping, and the presentation to the eye camera was wrong. Now, television studios, they use teleprompters, big devices, and they're set back. So when you're sitting far back, of course, you can look like you're looking at somebody because it's far away. But when you're on a Zoom call, the proximity of the camera and the difference between your laptop camera and all is between an 11 and a 30-degree angle. And it's like me trying to look at you like this. how does that feel? It feels fake. Or if I'm looking down here, yes, you see my face, but I'm not interacting with you. I'm not scanning you. And those micro movements make us feel comfortable because we communicate with our nervous system. But I'm sure you know that anyway, whether we're trying to
Mm.
calm somebody down, whether we're trying to get their trust, we read the body, we read the face, we read the micro movement, we read the breath. If someone's it'll soon make you tense too. So
Mm.
you need a device that is going to allow you to engage. And up till now, what we've had is second best. It was like using a megaphone to communicate.
Yes, and I think the whole thing about online communication is it got and remains very, very transactional. It's great to have a Zoom meeting when you just need to sign something off or something, but if we want a general conversation, you do start to miss those little indicators.
Indicated.
There's been a few attempts at solving it, hasn't there? I've seen. In fact, I once had may still be attached a tiny little camera you just sort of lick and stick to the middle of your screen. So you'd end up like it's like playing with a dog again because you've got this funny thing on your nose from where I'm looking. But what was wrong with those sorts of things? And
Okay,
those.
so three or four things. Um, I don't know if you remember, there was even a Dragon Dance camera,
Oh
and there was a
yes.
launch, and there was a product that was launched on Indiegogo that sold about 2 million pounds. So the people who got it, what they did was they had a camera which dropped down. So trying to visualize it. So basically, what you did was if this was your screen, um, you drop the camera down to put
Mm,
it here.
yeah.
But then instead of me looking at your face, I'd be distracted by the camera because what we forget is three things. If the camera or the screen is somewhere, your eye will be attracted to movement. But if there's something blocking it, it's like going on a date and there's a big flower pot in between. So if I put this here, even if the camera, so you still see a couple of them launched, the center cam, and there's a few others, and they try to make it as thin as possible. But if you put something in front of your nose, if I put this here, it's going to be distracting to
Yeah.
look at me. You know what I mean? So what you want, and I find the same distraction when people put a large podcast microphone and headphones. Think about it. We pick up subtle cues. If you go to a plane or you see somebody wearing headphones, what does that intuitively signal to you?
They don't want to be disturbed.
Disturbed. So it may look very professional because they're trying to mimic a studio for a
Mm,
podcast or that, or like a singer. But it can actually be very distracting because the message I'm telling you is please don't disturb me
mm.
because I'm focused on what I'm listening to. And if I have a microphone in front of me, your eye will get distracted. And what you want is something that is as transparent as possible. And that's what we've done here with Studiobox. So as you can see, and you've been trying it yourself, guys.
I
So you
have.
tell me, I mean, as a professional videographer, what's your experience been like?
Well, I've really enjoyed using it, and I think we should give it a bit more of an introduction to the viewers and the listeners who are paying attention to the podcast. The Studio Box basically is a little device that attaches to your computer. It works like an extra camera onto an external camera. I've got it on quite a chunky tripod, but it does come with something that can attach to your desk to hold it up. And it works with mirrors. This is my technique, the level at which I can operate technically. It works with mirrors, and it basically means that I can actually look at you while I'm speaking, and you can look at me. So it's the next best thing to be. And it looks just like a laptop, by the way. It doesn't look like a major technical thing. And I've got it attached to my Mac with just a USB 3, sorry, USB-C, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cable. That powers it as well. So it doesn't take up an awful lot of computing power. But so we'll come to how that works in a second. But I'm interested in how, when you came to be aware that the current version of video conferencing and video communication wasn't working. Was it
Okay.
instinct?
So
Was it research? How did that come to you?
Okay, well, I think when you work in IT, you're used to doing remote meetings. You may remember Sky, GoToMeeting, a whole bunch of those. And that's great when you're working with IT people and using a shared whiteboard or screen,
Hmm.
because that's your shared space. But when you're trying to have a deeper conversation, so when I started, I used to run a lot of meetups, and we'd have a couple of hundred people. And then we tried to position from having live events to hybrid events. And you attach it and you stream it through Facebook and YouTube and all of that. But the
Sure.
thing was, the camera kind of looked like you were watching somebody at a distance. You know what I mean? You'd
Hmm.
get the body form. And then, of course, as we started to move to more online events, and I experimented, so I bought cameras that did tracking, and they're great. Like so I bought things like Osbo. But what it did was it would be fine if I'm standing in front and I'm moving in a stage for you to see me move and do the tracking, right?
Hmm.
And then I bought the face cam, I bought the Logitech on the long stand thing, trying to put it. But you bought 4K cameras. I bought a Sony 6600. I bought a Sony A7. And it wasn't about the quality, it was about the engagement.
Hmm.
And so then I started exploring and making. So first we made it out of a wooden box. I explored using teleprompters. And then I thought, okay, how am I going to make it? Will I make the camera accordion style? So we went through a lot of iterations and form factors and cameras so that we could get just the right thing that feels like you're actually there.
Okay, you
So,
see.
that journey has taken, well, 7 years if I include all the pre-learning that went on, because you keep on trying to get it just right, don't you?
Hmm.
And I think when you get a problem in your head, you sit down and say, how am I going to solve it? And in the process, you then actually need to understand the psychology of the customer, like the eye scanning. Because you remember NVIDIA, and a few others also launched software which centers your eyes, right? So, but the thing is, it's not where the eye is positioned. It's the fact of, like if you look at when we smile, we have a different
Hmm.
movement in all those micro gestures that come into play. And if you're not familiar with those things, then so I got into the psychology about what happens with an interaction. So normally when we're talking like this, you will be looking at me. I may look away for a few minutes and then come back to see are you still interested? And then you
Hmm.
nod like this. And then we're actually having a conversation
Exactly.
rather than, and then also lag matters. So if you start doing a 4K stream, first of all, the normal bandwidth won't hold it. In the UK, it's asynchronous. And secondly, you don't need 4K. In fact, what you'll focus is on the wrong thing. So it's that whole thing about managing the limitations, but being true to the nature of human communication, which is about interaction, it's about eye scan, it's about looking up. Like you may notice if you close too much, and all the expensive cameras will do eye tracking. Why? Because you don't want to be looking like that. You've seen those photos where you
Yeah.
caught somebody and their eye was like that. And what we're also doing is we're scanning for the micro gestures. Like, I don't know if you were watching Putin and Trump at Alaska afterwards, and you will notice Putin smirk or
Hmm.
whatever. It's like, I got one over on him. You know what I mean? So we are subconsciously picking it up. And it's only when we become aware that our conscious mind becomes aware
Yeah.
of all the subconscious messages. And you can't train them, but you have to be authentic.
This is making a lot of sense to me. In a commercial sense, in terms of getting the product out there, there is the small issue of persuading people that what they've been doing for the last 5 years, whether it's on Zoom, Teams, Google Meet, whatever it's on, it's persuading them that that's not working because a lot of people will not have looked into the things that you're citing at the moment. They'll think they're doing perfectly okay. Why should they fix something they believe is working?
Well, I think you raise a very important point, and I'll share a couple of journeys with you. When we tried to launch the intranet and the internet, it took me 6 years to convince BT that internet was going to be a thing and that
Hmm.
we needed to change the net. And when we started rolling out the intranet, we had the same problem. You'd go to managers and say, let's share information, and you get two views. I'm not going to share it till everybody else has it,
Yeah.
right? And, why should I share my information on the intranet? And I think that there is a diffusion curve. So there will be early adopters. And the whole thing is, I'm not trying to get a hockey stick. I want to find the right people that understand the importance of body language and communication, right? And those people, when they hear about it, and then the proof in the pudding is going to be the quality of the education, because nobody's going to listen to me if I tell you you're doing it wrong. You yourself now have been using it for a while, and it takes a while to change a habit. And unfortunately, we've got the QWERTY problem, where people have now gotten used to the QWERTY keyboard, and you tell them Dwarek or whatever is a better thing. Well, till they try it, and there's always an effort. So if you go to the diffusion of innovation, seeing is believing, right? So whether you're making a video call, whether you're making a fourth wall video, whether you're just sending a message to a loved one. So I do believe, I mean, look, we've seen so many of those head cams, right? Now,
Yes.
if you look at the story of GoPro started because he mixed in the industry. So one of the challenges is if I take this to the media industry, there's too much vested with cameras and equipment and video people, and they like all the I've been able to change the F camera setting, and I've been able to, I mean, we can do some of that with some of the add-ons to the product that we talked about. But the whole thing for me is, and you can tell your own experience, the setup time should be 2 minutes. So I've tried to take away the gradient of pain. So it works with whatever you're using. It's easy to set up and it's natural, but it still takes time to get used to looking here when you've been used to looking at the laptop.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Or I was in the habit, as we were discussing earlier before the recording started, I was in the habit of, when I'm presenting, always looking at the camera on top of my computer because I was at least aware that people needed to see me, get the impression that I was
Looking at them.
eye to eye contact. But of course, they could have been pulling all sorts of faces at me and probably were. Okay, I'm going to suggest we leave that there for the moment because I'm spreading this over 2 episodes and we're starting to run out of time a little bit. The next episode will be along next week, so everybody listening, don't forget to check the website at nearfuturist.net to see how you can get my voice working at your conference should you wish to. But we'll talk more about the Studiobox next time, which is Manoj's solution to the issue that we'll be discussing here. In the meantime, Manoj Chawla, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you, guys. It's been a pleasure.